I love how Susan Sarandon is trying to make herself hot in this movie by giving herself the exact same hairdo as David Bowie. Oh, Susan, it did not work for you. The Hunger, released in 1983 and is directed by Ridley Scott's younger brother, Tony Scott, who has also directed such films like Top Gun, Beverly Hills Cop, The Last Boy Scout, Man on Fire, and Unstoppable. The man definitely hit his stride when he started doing action films, because this one is really weird and all over the frickin' place. And this movie is starring Catherine Deneuve, David Bowie, and Susan Sarandon. And the reason why we're talking about The Hunger today is because it was a PayPal recommendation and donation from one of the OG supporters on this channel, and I love it whenever they reach out to support. Rusted Beetle, thank you very much for your recommendation. If any of you out there also want to help contribute and support this channel, you can select the PayPal link that is in the comments of this video, and you can give me your movie recommendation with your donation. If you do that, I'll give you a little shout out, just like what I did with Rusted Beetle here. And Rusted Beetle, you know, you give me a lot of great things. You've given me a lot of great things over the years. You've actually attached another vampire-like movie that I'll be reviewing next week, but this one, I feel like I needed some Adderall or something that would just calm my senses down, because the editing here is all over the frickin' place. Miriam Blaylock is a vampire who is constantly seeking her companion, and she has had several lovers over the years, always seducing them with the stipulation of having eternal life. What she doesn't divulge to them is that they will not have eternal youth, which is unfortunate for David Bowie in this movie, as he starts rapidly aging all of a sudden for some reason. Thankfully, Susan Sarandon is here as Dr. Roberts, who is an age genetics researcher and who's stumbling upon rapid aging and establishing clocks for living things, even though I think that's just generic knowledge. Anyway, all three of these people kind of crisscross together and have sex with each other and become vampires together, and things happen in here for some reason. Those reasons I could not explain to you, because it just randomly happens. This movie is just one gigantic headache. Tony Scott, I know he's no longer with us. It's been about a decade since he did commit suicide, but when he was directing, he's a very kinetic director. Everything is constantly moving. If we have a slow scene where it's just dialogue and people are standing around or sitting around talking to each other, we need to have some type of energy, and we have to have some type of kinetic energy happening in here. So what he does a lot in this movie is, if we're having a conversation between two people, he will blatantly cut to, like, a truck driving for, like, a second, and then back to the conversation for a second, and then back to the truck driving again for another second, and it was back and forth, back and forth. Why? I'm sure someone out there will find some artistic reason as to why a director would do those things, even though it makes no fucking sense. If you've never seen this movie, to give you an example, here is just a couple of seconds of me delivering some lines of dialogue and then cutting in and out of just random different things that I'm going to be doing. That's the pacing and the editing choices that were made in this film. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty place from day to the last syllable of recorded time. And all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, out, brief candle. Life is but a walking shadow. Poor player who struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and is heard no more. It's a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury. Whoa! Signifying nothing. That is the editing of this movie. And you know the storytelling is not superb and it's not up to par when I have to look up the plot synopsis to figure out exactly what it was that I watched. I get that Davy Bowie's character was rapidly aging. They never fully explained why he just randomly started doing that after living for like 200 years as a vampire, and why it never randomly started happening for Miriam, who's causing all of these people to turn, other than when she fell And then when you fall, apparently that just starts the rapidly aging process at the end. I don't know, because it's never fucking explained. However, Miriam is one psychotic little kinda serial killer. How terrible is it to take on a companion, a lover, after one basically rapidly ages to the point where they're a walking corpse? And when they do that, you take them up to the attic and you put them in a coffin and you stack them all up on top of each other. When she did that with David Bowie, I was like, holy shit, you've been doing this for millennia, and they're all still here. That's creepy, and that's terrible for these people. I don't understand, though, how they were all able to come out of their coffins at the end of the movie that caused the whole climax and the death of Miriam. I'm talking spoilers, because I don't care. No one's gonna watch this movie. I don't think anyone watched this movie, other than all of my goth friends in high school who are probably still goth and don't have any regrets about being goth throughout their lives in high school at all. But I'm wondering how they got the coffin lids off if, like, they have no muscle tissue and they're all just dissolving in the coffin, just slowly. Well, I guess they're not dying, but they're just all deteriorating because they're all just skeletons. How are they able to get that off? And why at that moment? Why when Susan Sarandon gets turned and becomes the companion? Why is that a thing? Why does all of a sudden the world stops turning for Susan Sarandon? I don't understand. I never really had a problem with any of her performances that I saw when I was a kid, but as an adult, they're just terrible. What was I thinking? Susan Sarandon is not a good actress. How is she popular? I don't understand. There's just a lot about this movie that I don't understand. Dan Hedaya shows up in here as a cop searching for a lost child who David Bowie murders in this movie. So he kind of just shows up, and again, we get the cutting back and forth scenes a lot with him, because it's just like a lot of long interrogation scenes, and Tony Scott's there like, I'm bored. I want to look at something else midway through this scene that has nothing to do with the scene or the movie at all. You recall seeing the little girl here a couple of days ago, and no, she was here for piano lessons. That's where I am with this movie. If you have ADD, this would probably be your favorite movie of all time. I don't, though, and my brain fucking hurts. The only aspect of this film that I liked was the incorporation of a bunch of classical music pieces. That's what I spent most of my time doing while watching this movie, because they would play like a beautiful, like, little cello trio, or a violin solo, or the famous Bach solo. And I was like, I just want to look those up and listen to the whole thing. So I was listening to that while the movie was playing, because I would rather be listening to that full thing than watching this full movie again. This movie is not good. I don't understand why there is a cult following for this movie. If you like this movie, I guess good for you, but it did not land with this guy, and I am totally okay with my life if I never watch this movie again. I'm gonna give The Hunger 1 out of 5 Blu-rays.
What? No!
So guys, have you seen The Hunger? What did you think about it? What is your favorite vampire flick? Whatever you thought, comment below, let me know what you thought about it. And as always, if you like what you see here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell. See you the next time I release my next movie review. So guys, I will see you next time on the channel, but in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.